Well, he's been doing it for 20 years, so.
Yeah. All right. Live from my basement, we have Mr. Webb and Dan.
Danimal. Woo!
Danimal.
That'll work.
Yeah. I like the Danimal nickname. It suits you well.
It suits you well.
Lately,
18-hour drives just straight through.
Oh, that's nothing. Yeah.
Shredding 18-hour drives, 10-hour drives.
More to come.
Transporting cars across the country.
Yeah, I'm like one of the
Cross
boys
state
now.
lines.
Heavy hauling.
Yep. Do you have a CDL?
No. I should probably get one, though, huh?
You should. Have you watched the Big Time videos on YouTube?
No.
You know Donut?
Yeah.
Like, two of the guys left and they started Big Time. And they bought like a big rig but the guy converted it. It's like one of the flat front ones and the cab tilts forward, but he took the two rear axles off and did like a single axle.
That's pretty cool.
And they're like, that's probably going to be your next hauler.
I don't know what else we could do. But.
Pretty close to what you have already.
Yeah.
Kevin's not here today. He's up in Maine playing with the Great Whites. I said maybe you could call in, but I don't feel like calling him, so his loss. Today's podcast is going to be about Dan bought a new vehicle. So I will let you tell us what you bought. I'm curious to find out what you were looking for, how you ended up on this particular car, and what your plans are with it.
Yeah, so, I've been shopping mentally for cars it doesn't ever stop, actually. Ask my wife, and, 5 messages a day she gets of listings and cars, and how about this color, and look at this one's cheap, and even this morning I sent her one. She's like, oh, cool, now what are you going to do? But I've been looking at, I guess, a huge range of different cars, so I was heavily looking at Vipers, and I liked the 2006 Viper Coupe. I liked the styling. I always wanted a V10 manual. I was looking at Gallardos for quite a while, gated. First-gen R8s, because you could get them gated. Older Ferraris, so you can get a Testarossa for not crazy money these days. And I never really had a JDM car, so I would Google different ones, and the R33 has always sort of stuck with me. I like the smooth styling. I think the R34 is overpriced, and mechanically they're pretty much the same car.
Yeah, because of the Fast and Furious movie. That's why
it has like that Paul Walker tax on it, and so they're like $200,000, and that's just crazy to spend on one of those. Like, I don't see the value. I don't think they're going to hold that. So it kind of landed me with the R33s. So I started looking for those on Marketplace, and I found this gorgeous one that I thought was purple, actually, until I started talking to the guy, and it's called Dark Gray Pearl. So it's a 97, so a Series 3 that had 2 or 3
Oh,
series.
so yours is an R33?
Yeah.
Oh, really? I thought it was an R34.
No.
R33 GTR V-Spec, and it's a Series 3, so it's the last 2 years that they made those. So I think they'll hold their value well. I love the color. It has the active differential, which, honestly, I'll never use. I'll never see that gauge move. I'm never going to track it. So, but yeah, I just wanted something different. So, our other cars, we have the Trans Am's C6006. That's 600 wheel horsepower. The Atom. So, what could we do that's different and feels different to own? And I don't think you can get much different than what we got. So it's right-hand drive, super weird to get used to. Inline 6 makes an awesome noise. Admittedly, it's not very fast. It's fast, but compared to the other cars, like you were saying, like once you drive an Atom, it's like the GT4 you test drove kind of spoils it for you, right?
Yeah.
Here, kind of the same thing. Like you really get into it, and it moves, but it's not what I'd say scary in any case.
Yeah. When you think of your collection that you're building, what is do you have a theme, or is it just?
I think it's all my childhood heroes.
Okay.
So when I was in college, I remember watching Top Gear in 2006, and they were reviewing the new C6006, and I thought it was an amazing car for the money, and I thought I'm going to graduate in 2 years, and I'm going to own that car as soon as I graduate. It took a long time after that. I was a little naive thinking I'd graduate college and boom into my dream cars, but That one always stuck with me as my sort of attainable dream car. And then, as we grew in life, the attainable dream cars get bigger and bigger and more. But yeah, that was a real first car I guess I would say I will never get rid of. And then the second was the Ariel Atom. Same thing, I watched Top Gear in like 2003 or something.
The face melting video.
Yeah, and the epiglottis full of bees, like that sold me on the car. And I wanted one ever since. So now I'll never get rid of that car. And those two are completely different to drive. And then, we came across a white Trans Am. It's my wife's favorite color. Loves Trans Ams. Who wouldn't love that, like Eagle, Phoenix, whatever on the hood? That would need a lot of work. So we picked up the black one on a whim, planning to sell the white one. But even those two cars are completely different. The white one is modified and has a 455 in it now, and it's loud and hot and rumbly. And the black one's like driving a brand new car in 1979. So those are completely different. And then everyone loves the black and gold. Yeah. So then now with the R33, it's like a completely different direction. And now we can go to different events, like, Lars Anderson lawn events. I could never go to Japanese Day before. Now I can go to Japanese Day. And so being able to like take it to different things is really what sold me on being, different.
Yeah, what I think's cool about that is it's a real JDM car. You know what I mean? Like people throw that around, JDM, and to me a JDM car is right-hand drive. Yeah. Which I think is
Japanese
cool.
Domestic market, sold in Japan. Yeah.
Or like a K truck, maybe one of those. But I at one point we were going back and forth on Instagram, like guessing what you had got, and you had kind of given us a couple list of things, like an NSX, which again, like I think that's the car that's going to hold its value, like moving forward, and the Viper, and you actually sent me that picture, and I didn't really look at it that quick. I thought it was a black NSX when you first sent it. And then
the R33?
Yeah. Because I wasn't wearing my glasses, and I'm like, oh, it's a black NSX with gold wheels. And at one point you're like, you're going to be disappointed, but I'm definitely not disappointed in that car. I mean, when you see that, the color, first of all, I've never seen that color before. It looks amazing. The interior is super cool. The car is super clean.
Yeah, I don't think it gets much cleaner than that, honestly. I was impressed when I saw it. And actually, first thing I did was go buy separate mats for it, because like if you go on eBay and you look up R33, R32, R34 parts, they have such a huge value on them. So if you want a new gauge set, $3,000.
Yeah.
There's like triple gauges above the HVAC, $1,500. An OEM mat set, used, $900. So everything you touch in this car is worth tons of money. And so I bought a set of cheap mats that look okay, and I put the nice ones in the trunk.
The other thing that I thought was cool is your buddy Kyle, within the same day, he traded cars in and bought...
Yeah,
he bought an R34. He has an
R32.
R32, okay.
So I sent him a picture of the GTR wing, where it says GTR in carbon fiber. And he sent me a picture back of his GT500 next to an R32 GTR. And he was like, man, we're like the same person. It was at that moment he was there at the dealer trading in his car for the GTR.
What did he trade in again?
He traded in, I don't know what year it is, but it's a
GT350, right?
No, he had a GT500.
Oh, 500. Okay.
Yeah.
The newer one or the
newer? Yeah.
So
2010-ish, 2012-ish, something like that. I don't know exactly what year. I haven't even seen all of his cars.
Yeah.
He does have a GT350 for sale. He has two of those. Two NSX. I guess he does everything in pairs. He's Noah or something. But it's car Noah. I'm going to be disappointed when I hear his. Because I know it's going to sound way cooler than mine. His is definitely not stock.
Are you going to mod it at all? Yours?
I know myself, and I probably will, but I shouldn't. Yeah. If you look up R33 videos...
What I would say is do anything that's reversible. Exhaust is always... Like, if you do an exhaust, that's all you really need on that stuff.
Yeah, the exhaust is perfect for the car.
Yeah, it sounded good when you pulled up today.
He has equal length headers on it. It makes it sound, not like a Subaru.
Yeah.
and then a titanium exhaust, which after 6,000 RPMs, it just has this high pitched like screaming sound that isn't like anything else I've ever.
What does that
driven.
rev to?
9,000.
Oh, it does.
You know what you said? Only buy cars that.
I mean, I think I haven't actually tried, and I probably will never try. $8,000, it's like yellow. 8 to 9 is like in the yellow zone. I'm assuming maybe I'm not supposed to do that.
So when I'm thinking about my collection moving forward, I said my collection moving forward is going to be cars under 3,000 pounds or that rev to at least 9,000 RPM. So that way I can still buy another GT3 because that's like 3,200 pounds. You could get a GT4, revs to 9. It's, again, like 3,100 pounds. But I really like the idea of having like a lightweight car that revs high. I'm lucky with the Atom. It's fast, so I don't need any other fast car. I'm fine with slow cars. And
yeah, that's the thing is like once you already have a fast car, you don't need that in the next car. It's more about like the driving experience and the noise and owning it and people you meet having that car. So I can already tell you like owning that JDM car is like I met a completely different set of people that I would have never talked to today.
And I like the idea of driving a car that's hard to drive. Something that doesn't have a ton of assists, that if you fuck up then you might kill yourself.
Yeah,
not that I'm going to do that, but you know what I mean? Like you need to be mindful of that. Not a car that like the traction control is always going to save you. And
as I've grown, I mean, people will post that, they have a 2023 RS6 or whatever, the latest BMW M5 comp or whatever it is. And those don't really do it for me anymore. They're kind of, I mean, they're cool, they're fast. I wouldn't say no to one, but I don't think I'd buy one anymore. Because for me, it doesn't feel special to own. And having never driven one, maybe it feels special to drive, but it's too precise, I think.
Yeah, we went to a show last Sunday, right? Was it Saturday or Sunday?
It was Sunday, I believe.
Sunday, and it's like a show that we go to a lot. I have friends that are there all the time. It was kind of a low turnout. But some guy had like an M5 comp, and I was looking at it, and he, as soon as he saw me looking at it, he ran across the parking lot to come over and start telling me all about his M5 comp. And as I'm looking at him, like, this thing just looks so big, so heavy, just like great, I'm glad he loved that car, but for me, that's not what I'm into.
I mean, it has a lot of power, but it's just
it's
really
a ton
big
of power.
car.
It's huge, man.
Yeah, like what do you
like
tell
an
people
SUV.
about that? Like what kind of
Had like roof racks on it too, like an SUV.
Yeah. I mean, it was like his family daily.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about that was like later on, he was with Mr. Webb, and Mr. Webb had his hood up on his car. Nobody's ever asked to see the engine bay in an S4. And he was telling Mr. Webb, because he had an S4 before that, like all the stuff that he needs to do.
He was like, you got to do the air intake, you got to do the front bar, you got to do the rims, you got to do basically all this. And I'm like, listen, I'm just keeping that as my daily, and then I'm hopefully saving up to get a
Which no
car.
hate on him. I mean, everyone takes their own things from different cars,
But I don't want to make my S4 be like an RS5, if that makes sense. Like I just want to leave it like it is and buy
it's not worth it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you'll never get that money back, and
That's what I mean.
Yeah, never fault people. I mean, I have a lot of strong opinions too, and I'm sure a lot of the stuff that I own, like people don't, it doesn't make sense to them. Like there's a lot of people that would never buy what I've bought. So everyone's got their own different wants and needs.
So twist to the story. I'm looking on Facebook and I see like a really nice S2000 for sale, and probably about 10 minutes later I get an Instagram from Dan. It's like, this is the one you need to buy. So for the second time this year, Dan has found me a car, and Mr. Webb and I have actually got halves on it. So we
cut it in half.
We got a really nice AP1 S2000, good shape.
the gorgeous red interior.
Yeah,
that's
nice,
my favorite
nice
part about
interior,
that car.
yeah.
Beautiful.
I'm excited. I like seeing like YouTube reviews that are like, this car will kill you. Like the most raw, like, you know, revs to 9,000. The suspension super stiff and known for oversteer and all that stuff. So I'm excited to start driving that. And
It's a Rob Latham car. I'm pretty nervous to drive it all the way to New England. It's never seen probably a speck of rain or a pebble in the road. So,
well, which is what I liked about it, because it's got the plastic rear roof or rear window, and it's clear. You know, the whole thing's clear. I asked him, has never seen salt.
Yeah, gonna have to be careful with that thing in the winter.
It's not being driven in the winter.
I know that, but I'm just mean like make sure.
I think Rob will
does
fly
not-
up and probably strangle you.
Make sure
Repo
that
it
thing
back.
does not see any sort of clean air during the winter.
Yeah, I mean, it's super nice. And from what you tell me and seeing Rob's cars, I know they're immaculate. So
Best of the best.
it'll be good. It's the car I'm actually, Mr. Webb's going to learn how to drive a stick on that.
Am I?
So
Yeah.
did you already order a clutch, or is that coming next?
We'll see how it goes. I think it'll be fine. I drove one this morning. A friend of ours has one.
Mm-hmm.
It's the powertrain in stock, but it's got like a roll cage. It
Big
wasn't
ass wing on the back.
Yeah, big ass wing. It wasn't like the most immaculately kept thing. It was
Yeah.
lower miles. It wasn't too many
How many
miles.
miles?
I think that had like 50,000 on it,
Okay.
which I mean, for a 25-year-old car, that's not bad.
It had those front like
Canards.
yeah, canards.
Yeah, canards. And
So obviously not a stock exhaust then either.
No.
So, you're going to be able to live with stock
Quiet
Honda
car.
S2000 exhaust.
I'm a Porsche guy, so I mean, those things are quiet by design. You know.
Yeah, at least the neighbors like us for a reason. You know.
Yeah, I did drive the Atom down to Quincy, or what town do they live in? It's not
Braintree.
Braintree.
Yeah.
This morning, which was a whole shitty experience.
Different animal.
Yeah, 93 South is probably not fun on an Atom.
It was. I mean, it was a little bumpy. It was coming back was worse because it was traffic, and I'm just always worried about dying, like someone smashing you from the rear. Or,
Yeah.
And as Mr. Webb says, like everyone's videoing you when you're driving, so it's like
Creates a lot of like negative attention. Like,
it's not negative attention. It's just like,
well, just people don't pay attention to the road. People pay attention to videoing you.
which
And
if
people try to like cut up and like, you know.
Which, if you looked online, there's a lot of, like, Texas, I guess, was, like, revoking the titles on those. And the reason they gave was because people were getting in accidents, like, videoing them. And
It's a shame. Doesn't really seem like their fault.
so the next podcast, I don't know if Kevin's going to be around. We're going to fly down, me and Dan, next weekend, pick up the S2000. We're going to drive it 1,000 miles back, hopefully.
Normal. That's a normal weekend for me. So.
Yeah.
And you know what I'll be driving?
What's that?
I said, you know what I'll be driving?
What?
You two guys to the airport.
Okay. Appreciate
I
it.
won't be driving 1,000 miles. I'll be driving about 1% of that.
Will you be able to wake up?
Yeah, I'll be able to wake up.
Okay. So that's it for today. A quick one. And we'll
Quickie.
see you on the next one.